Now, you think you know Italian until you hear a native speak at full speed. Tell me, can you understand this person?
Mi chiamo Paola Cortellesi, sono un'attrice, da una ventina d'anni scrivo per la radio, il teatro e la TV, da 10 anni scrivo film per il cinema e da poco ho esordito alla regia con C'è ancora domani.
Not bad, right? You're probably nodding along, feeling pretty confident. How about this one?
Sì, perché per 22 anni t'ho fatta la serva. T'ho fatta la carabiniera, da fabbrica di forcella alle pasticcerie. T'ho portata a casa innanzi meglio una moglie. A te e alla mamma tua, pace all'anima sua, vaggio lavate i piedi.
Are you still with me? Or did that last one leave you scratching your head in confusion? Well, don't panic, this is absolutely normal. Understanding fast, native speed Italian isn't just about knowing grammar and vocabulary, it's a different challenge altogether. But here is the good news, you can train your ear. That's why in this lesson, you'll learn why fast spoken Italian feels nothing like textbook Italian, how real Italians drop syllables, simplify grammar, and blend sounds. I'll also give you a few tips for decoding tricky speech patterns, like se lo sapevo, venivo. You'll also learn how to train your ear, watching the right movies, series, to pick up slang and other Italian filler words like ma and cioè. And don't worry about taking notes, I've done all the hard work for you. Make sure you download your free PDF cheat sheet for this lesson, which includes everything we're going to cover here today. Just click on the link in the description box below this video. Pronti? Iniziamo! Let's get started. Ciao, I'm Michelle. That's Michelle with one L. And even though my dad is Italian, I didn't grow up speaking Italian. I was named after my nonno, Michele, and learned Italian by choice as an adult. Now I teach thousands of learners just like you speak Italian with confidence using my unique 80-20 method. For more details about my online self-paced video courses, visit intrepiditalian.com or click on the link in the description below this video. Now first we're going to look at written versus spoken Italian. Like in any language, there's quite a difference between Italian you learn from textbooks and the Italian you hear in everyday conversations. This happens because textbooks teach the ideal version, clear pronunciation, full sentences, and neat grammar. But in real life Italian, it's more casual. People often drop syllables, blend words together, and use regional expressions that are rarely explained in class. This gets more interesting and trickier when you consider Italy's linguistic history. Modern Italian developed from Latin, but it was shaped by centuries of outside influence, from Arab rule in the south to Austrian control in the north. A standard version of Italian started forming in the 1300s, thanks to Dante. But it wasn't until the 1900s, with radio and television, that it became more common across the country. And still, every region adds its own variation. The Italian spoken in Sicily, for example, often retains the use of the preposition a, meaning to, before a direct object, a leftover from Spanish influence. You might also hear
Chiamai a Franco.
Instead of
Ho chiamato Franco.
Meaning I called Franco. So if understanding fast-spoken Italian feels impossible, it doesn't mean you're not good at the language. It's just because you're hearing a version that no one really teaches you. But I'm going to reveal 5 tips that will help you understand a whole lot more. The first tip is understand how grammar changes in spoken Italian. Watch this.
Cioè, ma voi da quanto tempo stavate insieme?
Da 10 anni.
10 anni? Beh, figlio mio, cioè, pure se eri fidanzato con me, sto usando il congiuntivo, Ma da mo che ti mandava a fanculo.
Now here's something very important to understand. When they speak, Italians don't always follow the grammar rules that you learned in class. Not because they're lazy, it's just that everyday speech tends to be quicker, favouring simpler, faster constructions. Some grammar forms are much more common in writing than in everyday speech. For example, you may have learned to use the subjunctive and conditional moods in if clauses, like
Se lo avessi saputo, te lo avrei detto.
if I had known, I would have told you. but in casual conversation, you'll often hear,
Se lo sapevo, te lo dicevo.
literally, if I knew, I told you. This form is technically incorrect according to standard grammar rules because it uses the imperfecto tense instead of the subjunctive mood and conditional. But it's completely normal and widely accepted in spoken Italian. Now here are a few of the most common grammar shortcuts in fast Italian. Native speakers often use fewer verb tenses and moods in everyday conversation, preferring simpler, more fluid constructions over the more complex forms typically found in written Italian. For example, the present tense is favoured instead of the future tense. For example,
Domani andiamo al cinema.
tomorrow we go to the movies, instead of saying,
Domani andremo al cinema.
tomorrow we're going to the movies.
La prossima estate andiamo in Sardegna.
Next summer we go to Sardinia, instead of saying,
La prossima estate andremo in Sardegna.
next summer we're going to Sardinia. The imperfecto is often used in if clauses instead of the more complex subjunctive and conditional moods. Take a look at these examples.
Se mi invitavano, venivo anche io.
If they invited me, I came too, instead of,
Se mi avessero invitato, sarei venuto anche io.
if they had invited me, I would have come too.
Se la signora ci faceva lo sconto, li compravamo.
If the lady gave us a discount, we bought them, instead of saying,
Se la signora ci avesse fatto lo sconto, li avremmo comprati.
if the lady had given us the discount, we would have bought them. The imperfect tense is also frequently used instead of the conditional in polite requests. For example,
Volevo 2 etti di prosciutto crudo.
I wanted 2 hectograms of cured meat, instead of saying,
Vorrei 2 etti di prosciutto crudo.
I would like 2 hectograms of cured meat.
Volevamo sapere se c'è ancora posto.
We wanted to know if there are still seats available, instead of saying,
Vorremmo sapere se c'è ancora posto.
we would like to know if there are still seats available. The subjunctive mood is frequently replaced by the indicative. For example,
Spero che la festa ti è piaciuta.
I hope you enjoyed the party, instead of saying,
Spero che la festa ti sia piaciuta.
I hope you enjoyed the party, and
Pensavo che Anna era sposata.
I thought Anna was married, instead of saying,
Pensavo che Anna fosse sposata.
I thought Anna was married. To learn more about how and when to use the subjunctive in Italian, make sure you watch my video lesson right here. The passato remoto is mostly used in southern Italy and formal writing. Elsewhere, Italians use the passato prossimo in conversation. Take a look at this example.
Ho visitato il Canada nel 1982.
Instead of saying,
Visitai il Canada nel 1982.
I visited Canada in 1982. And
Solo molti anni dopo ho scoperto la verità.
instead of saying,
Solo molti anni dopo scoprii la verità.
only many years later did I discover the truth. Spoken Italian often plays with word order to highlight key information. This often means placing the object at the beginning or end of a sentence, something known as dislocation. Left dislocation, where the focus is at the start, this is where the object or complement is at the beginning of the sentence and resumed later by a pronoun. Take a look at this example.
Questo film non l'ho ancora guardato.
Instead of saying,
Non ho ancora guardato questo film.
I haven't watched this movie yet. And
Il caffè lo bevo senza zucchero.
instead of saying,
Bevo il caffè senza zucchero.
I drink coffee without sugar. Right dislocation, where the focus is at the end, is where the object or complement is at the end of the sentence and resumed earlier by a pronoun. Take a look at these examples.
Non ci torno da anni in Italia.
Instead of saying,
Non torno in Italia da anni.
I haven't been back to Italy for years. And
Non la vediamo da mesi, Anna.
instead of saying,
Non vediamo Anna da mesi.
we haven't seen Anna in months. Now, to learn more about Italian word order and sentence structure, make sure you watch my video lesson right here. Now, in fast-spoken Italian, che gets used as a sort of multi-purpose conjunction, even when it isn't grammatically accurate. For example,
Andiamo a casa che i bambini sono stanchi.
instead of,
Andiamo a casa perché i bambini sono stanchi.
let's go home because the kids are tired. And
C'è una cosa che ho bisogno.
instead of,
C'è una cosa di cui ho bisogno.
there's something I need.
Vieni da me che parliamo un po'.
Instead of,
Vieni da me così parliamo un po'.
come over so we can chat a bit. Are you enjoying this lesson? Don't let the learning stop here. Make sure you download your free PDF cheat sheet for this lesson, which you can find a link to in the description below this video. Okay, the second tip is vocabulary changes. First, watch this video.
Come ci siamo conosciuti io e Kid fa super ridere.
Raccontacelo.
Un giorno mi scrive questo ragazzo sulla mia pagina Facebook e mi scrive: ciao, piacere, sono Lorenzo, mi piacerebbe lavorare con te, ho sentito la tua roba, spacchi, ti lascio qua un link con dei miei beat, no? I tuoi beat erano incredibili. Gli dico: wow, no, rimango scioccato, e gli dico: passa a casa mia. Dopo mezz'ora mi arriva a casa con sta Fiat 600, tutta sgarruppata, brutta. E niente, ciao, piacere Lorenzo, mio padre mi fa morire quel giorno perché fa: sto ragazzo è troppo educato, secondo me ci prende per il culo.
Now, this video contains slang like,
Fa super ridere.
literally, it makes super laugh, meaning it's hilarious, and
La tua roba.
literally, your thing, meaning your material in this context, and
Spacchi.
literally, you break or smash, meaning you rock. There's also,
Sgarrupata.
it ruins.
Mi fai morire.
Literally, it makes me die, meaning it cracks me up. And
Ci prende per il culo.
literally, he or she takes us by the ass, meaning he or she is taking the piss out of us. Don't be discouraged if you don't recognize every word here. Italians often use words you think you know, but sound a bit different. Take tipo, for example. On its own, it means type or kind, but Italians commonly say
Il mio tipo. La mia tipa.
instead of the standard
Il mio ragazzo. La mia ragazza.
when talking about a boyfriend or girlfriend. It's the same idea, just more relaxed and conversational. So to better understand fast-spoken Italian, pay attention to these common vocabulary features. The use of slang and idioms to add colour and feeling to conversations. They rarely translate literally, so even if you recognise the individual words, the meaning might still escape you. You might hear things like,
Essere in gamba.
to be smart or capable, literally to be in leg, or
Avere le mani in pasta.
to be involved, literally to have the hands in the dough, and
Alzare il gomito.
meaning to drink heavily, literally to raise the elbow. Now, instead of using precise verbs, Italians often default to fare, to do, to make in spoken Italian, and they will say things like,
Farsi la macchina nuova.
literally to make oneself the new car, instead of
Comprare una macchina nuova.
to buy a new car,
Farsi i capelli.
literally to make oneself the hair, instead of saying
Andare dal parrucchiere.
to go to the hairdresser, and
Fare storie.
literally to make stories, instead of saying
Lamentarsi.
to complain. Italians also love playing with words by adding suffixes that change the meaning slightly, making things sound cuter, bigger, softer, or even more intense. It's another way to add personality to everyday speech, such as
Un attimino.
just a tiny moment,
Una cosina.
a little thing,
Una firmetta.
just a quick signature,
Il paesello.
the adorable little hometown,
Una partitona.
a big epic match,
Un caffettino.
a quick cozy coffee,
Avere ragionissima.
to be totally or completely right. Now, to keep things quick and casual, many people often shorten words to make the speech flow faster. For example,
Buongiorno.
good morning becomes
Giorno.
morning.
Buonasera.
Good evening becomes
Sera.
evening.
Ciao.
Hello becomes
Ciao.
a bit more informal.
Bicicletta.
Bicycle becomes
Bici.
bike.
Modo.
Way or mode becomes.
Mo.
This is used in expressions like
A mo' di.
meaning in the style of. Then we have
Mamma.
mother becomes
Ma.
mum. Note that ma can also sound like the conjugation ma, meaning but. Moving on to tip number 3, familiarize yourself with linking sounds. Take a look at this video.
Dava lupa dava, Ava dava le uova Eva, ora Eva è priva d'uva d'Eva, mentre Eva Ava.
Ma non è così. Eva dava l'uva dava, Ava dava le uova d'Eva.
Ma tu vai piano però. Se è facile pure
Eva
io.
dava l'uva d'Ava, Ava dava le uova d'Eva, ora Eva è priva d'uva, mentre Ava...
Now, this video might be a bit extreme, but there is some truth. When Italians speak, they use a series of little phonetic tricks to make their speech flow smoothly without big pauses or breaks between words. These are known as linking sounds, and they're a big part of what makes Italian sound so rhythmic. Take a look at this example phrase.
Lei è americana.
She's American. When spoken naturally, it often sounds like one word.
Lei è americana.
The vowels blend together with no break between them. Knowing how these linking sounds work will help your ear catch fast-spoken Italian more easily. A great way to practice is by listening to and repeating tongue twisters that focus on specific sounds and vowel connections. Now, here are the main types of linking sounds in Italian.
Legamento.
Linking. This is when at the end of one word blends smoothly into the beginning of the next. There are different types of linking. There's vowel to vowel linking, when one word ends in a vowel and the next starts with a vowel. The two vowels often merge into one long sound. Take a look at this example.
Ho trovato la borsa su un tavolo. Ho trovato la borsa su un tavolo.
I found the bag on a table. Suun sounds like sun. Then we have
Nonostante tutto, la vita va avanti. Nonostante tutto, la vita va avanti.
despite everything, life goes on. Va avanti sounds like va avanti. Then we have consonant to vowel linking, when a word ends with a consonant and the next starts with a vowel. The consonant blends into the vowel. For example,
Esco con Anna. Esco con Anna.
I'm going out with Anna. Con Anna sounds like con Anna. Then we have
Amo i dolci. Per esempio, il tiramisù. Amo i dolci. Per esempio, il tiramisù.
I love sweets. For example, tiramisù. Per esempio sounds like per esempio. Then we have doubling consonants. Sometimes when a word ends in a vowel and the next one begins with a consonant, especially L or R, the consonant is pronounced more strongly, almost as if it's doubled. Take a look at this example.
E chi lo sa? E chi lo sa?
Who knows? E chi lo sounds like equilo.
E come fai a saperlo? E come fai a saperlo?
And how do you know that? E come sounds like e come. Then we have
Elisione.
elision. Now, elision happens when a vowel at the end of a word is dropped before another word starting with a vowel, thus avoiding a clash of two vowels that would sound awkward. In writing, this is shown with an apostrophe. You'll often see this with articles like
Una amica.
becomes
Un'amica.
a friend,
Lo olio.
becomes
L'olio.
the oil. But elision also happens frequently in fast-spoken Italian, especially with pronouns like mi, ti, si, and vi, when followed by verbs beginning with a vowel or silent H. For example,
M'hanno invitato all'inaugurazione.
they invited me to the opening instead of,
Mi hanno.
and
T'accompagno a casa.
I'll walk you home instead of,
Ti accompagno.
and
S'incontrano sempre al bar.
they always meet at the bar instead of.
Si incontrano.
Then we have
Troncamento.
apocope. This is when the final vowel or syllable of the word is dropped without using an apostrophe. Again, in some cases, troncamento is standard and even appears in formal written Italian, like we see with bello for nice and buono for good, before masculine singular nouns. Take a look at this example.
Che bel ragazzo.
What a handsome boy, instead of,
Bello ragazzo.
and
Buon anno a tutti.
Happy New Year, everyone, instead of.
Buono anno.
But in everyday spoken Italian, this phonetic trick is much more common and less strictly regulated. Here are some everyday examples.
Mi son perso.
I got lost, instead of.
Mi sono. Siam venuti in macchina.
We came by car, instead of.
Siamo venuti. In cuor mio.
In my heart, instead of.
In cuore.
Sometimes this is just for style or rhythm, like in the children's song,
Siam tre piccoli porcellin.
we are three little pigs, instead of.
Siamo tre piccoli porcellini.
Then we have
Aferesi.
apheresis. Happens when a vowel or syllable at the beginning of a word is dropped. Some common examples include
Un'altra.
becomes
N'altra.
another,
Insomma.
becomes
Insomma.
basically. Demonstratives like
Questa. Questo. Queste. Questi.
are shortened to.
Sta. Sto. Ste. Sti.
Are you enjoying this lesson? Don't let the learning stop here. Make sure you download your free PDF cheat sheet with this lesson, which you'll find a link to in the description below this video. Moving on to tip number 4, look at context cues. Watch this video first.
È un'emozione enorme. E poi alla fine di questo viaggio non posso neanche condividere o dire questo premio dedico a, vorrei, se mi concedete proprio qualche momento.
Now, natural Italian flows more like a stream than a series of tidy, well-formed sentences like we see in writing. People don't always finish their thoughts clearly or stick to one idea from start to finish. Sometimes they get distracted, change topics mid-sentence, or take a pause. So my next tip to understand fast-spoken Italian is to learn to read between the lines, not just to listen to the words. In practice, this means paying attention to body language, gestures, and tone of voice. These non-verbal signals are just as important as the words themselves. They help to make sense of the message, even when the words get messy or jump around. Now, to learn more about the most common Italian hand gestures, make sure you watch my video lesson right here. Now, it also helps to get familiar with filler words and sounds. Italians commonly use these. Now, these can be confusing at first, but they are a key part of natural speech. Some of the most common ones include
Allora.
so, well, then,
Insomma.
So well.
Tipo,
Like,
cioè,
I mean,
nel senso,
that is,
che dire,
what can I say?
praticamente,
Basically,
ma,
who knows?
beh,
Well,
mm,
learning to recognize and interpret these will help you to follow conversations more easily, even when you miss some words. Moving on to tip number 5, train your ear with different sources. Now that you're more aware of how spoken Italian sounds, it's time to actively train your listening skills. Starting with scripted content like news broadcasts or TEDx talks is helpful because the speakers use prepared text, pronounce words clearly, and stick to well-structured sentences. But keep in mind, they're not fully representative of how Italians speak in everyday life. To get used to fast-spoken Italian, you'll want to immerse yourself in unscripted, natural speech. Italian TV shows are perfect for this. Platforms like Mediaset Infinity or Rai Play, both accessible with a reliable VPN service, offer plenty of content filled with authentic, fast-paced dialogue. Video podcasts are also incredibly useful since they combine speech with facial expressions and body language. Some great ones to explore include One More Time, The BSMT by Gianluca Gazzoli, Podcast, and Non Lo Faccio per Moda. Now don't worry if at first you only understand bits and pieces, focus on catching the general meaning and flow, and little by little, fast-spoken Italian will start to become much clearer to you. Now to continue your learning and to help you practice everything that we've covered here today, make sure you download your free PDF cheat sheet, which you can do by clicking on the link below this video. If you enjoyed this lesson, then you'll love Intrepid Italian, my series of online self-paced video courses that break down everything you need to know about Italian using my unique 80-20 method. More details in the description below. Now, if you enjoyed this lesson, don't miss my lesson on the only way to become fluent in Italian. Just click on this button right here. Plus, for the top 17 best Italian movies on Netflix to learn Italian, for beginners all the way to advanced students, make sure you watch my video lesson right here. In the meantime, hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and turn on those notifications so you get an alert when I post more video lessons like this one. Until next time, un abbraccio. Ciao!